Hello everybody, it is Creative Counselor Chloe here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I do my dip nails by ROSSI, and I'm going to be using the color Minty today. I have my number 2 base coat, my number 3 activator, my number 4 top coat, and I also have some honey peach cuticle oil that I will use at the very end. I also have some paper towels here. I have a file. I also have one of these scrubbers just in case I need to get the edges off. And I also have a buffer. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this bad boy up. I'm going to stir this gently real quick just to make sure all the powder's together. Sometimes there is like white powder that just keeps it all together, and you just want to make sure that that's evenly stirred, that way there's no difference in color. Next, I am going to open my number 2 and apply it. Be real conservative with this liquid. And you don't want to put it all over your nail yet, because your first dip or two, you want it to just be at the end. So I'm going to stick my nail into the powder, tap the extra residue off, let that sit for a second, and I'm going to go on to the next nail. Again, do the same thing. Make sure you get the ends really good. That way they're nice and strong. Tap off the residue. Go to my middle finger. Try not to get any on your skin, because that will be a little difficult to get off. It won't be the end of you, but it will definitely save you some headache later. Although some people like picking it off, that can be satisfying, but it's definitely not that good for your skin. It's supposed to be on your nails. And you'll find that the more you do this, the easier and the faster it becomes, because the first time or two I tried doing this, I mixed up some steps and it just wasn't all that good. But you will get better. And depending on what color you are using, you might have like some extra left on your finger, and it just depends how you feel. If you think there's a lot of powder on there, you can brush it off with like an old makeup sponge or actual nail dip powder brush that they sell at this site. But I just kind of brush off the sides, make sure there's not a whole bunch of powder. And this step also helps me because this powder is still drying that way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same thing, but I'm going to cover the rest of my nail, and you can still go on top of this other powder you just put on. But I'm going to start towards the cuticle line, brush my way down, make sure it's nice and even, because you don't want a whole bunch of bubbles. Edge, back in, and in we go. Tap the rest off. Something you should be mindful of is that now that we have this second layer of powder on, you can sometimes get the powder stuck to the brush. And that can be a little hard to wipe off if you put it back into the tube. So sometimes you can just wipe it off onto your paper towel before the next use. But luckily with this color, I know that doesn't happen as much, so I don't have to necessarily worry about that. But if you have like a red or glitter, you definitely need to wipe it off. There we go. Okay, and you can repeat this step as much as you want, or you can just simply stop here if you think you have the right color portion and if it's the right thickness you like. But keep in mind you will file a lot of this off. So what I do is I always do 3. I do 3 coats on almost every color of this that I do, and that's just because of my preference. I like how it makes the color look more even, and I do like thick nails, but that look natural. They're not all clumpy at the end. So last but not least, we're going to do that step one more time. I'm liking it, I'm liking it, I'm liking it. And a helpful tip for all of you, I used to have a TV tray that I would just sit on the couch with and do my nails, and that way I could like watch TV or whatever. However, that all went downhill one day because I spilled my nail powder, and that was a big mess. So definitely make sure you are sitting somewhere stable and at a table. Make sure no dogs, cats, or kids can get in your way to knock it over, and that way you can save yourself from losing a whole bunch of money, and you can also save yourself the hassle of cleaning it up, because that was the biggest problem. And in we go. Okay, last nail on this hand. All right, so this is how it is looking right now. And I'm going to close up my base coat. Okay, make sure it's good and tight. Now I'm going to go to my activator. And when you use the activator, you're going to think, oh my gosh, there's nothing on this brush. But that's just the consistency of it, and you definitely are getting stuff on your nail, trust me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to brush off any extra on the top. Get it off the sides. Okay. I'm gonna seal this up too until I get onto my other hand. Okay, and this is strong, so if you have asthma or if you have any problems, make sure you wear a mask or you have a well ventilated area. So we are just going to apply this very, very conservative on the nail. Do that to each nail. It's going to make the powder look really hard and kind of like a nerd, one of those like giant nerd gummy things, if you've ever seen that. It's going to get a little bumpy, but it's not going to stay that way, I promise. I don't know if you can see, but it is kind of ridgy. And now what we do is we just gently file. Make sure that all of your edges are unstuck. File the outsides. Make sure it's all good. Okay. And if you can pick these up pretty much anywhere at a drugstore, general store, Walmart. And what I do is I just kind of vary out through which side of this I want to use. So I'm going to use side one to even it out. And I'm just going to kind of evenly brush it on across my whole nail. Just to smooth everything out, make it even. Okay, and before I put another coat of that activator on, I'm going to get rid of the crusties on the side of my nails. Because at this point they're not hard. They're just there. They're just existing. And that way you have a flawless look. If you're like me, this is really satisfying to do. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to do one more look over. I'm going to very, very gently go on the outside of my cuticle to just shapen up the dip. Kind of smooth that line out. That one looks good. You don't want a thick line because then your hair is going to get wrapped around it. Okay, feel pretty confident in that. Now we're going to put another coat of this activator on and just let it sit there for a second. Wave that around. Again, it is strong, so please be careful with that smell. Make sure none of the edges are stuck. And so right now you can kind of see that they are still tacky looking. So whenever this dries a bit, I will then put a top coat on, and that top coat is what's going to make it really, really shine. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is how it looks right now. I'm going to let this dry for a second again. Then I'm going to put one more top coat on. All right, and that is all I have for you. When these dry completely, I'm going to put cuticle oil on, and I'll demonstrate. I will just brush it all alongside here. And then once I get it on all my fingers, I will rub it in, and later on, before I eat anything or do anything, I will wash my hands to get the excess off. Thank you for watching, everybody. Check out the link below in the drop down because I do have a discount for you. It's 20% off any of these products. And you can use my code Chloe Albert, which is me. Check me out on Facebook at Creative Counselor Chloe too. Thank you. Bye.